Welcome. I'm Emmeline, the founder of Tree of Life Temple. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Today, I want to talk a little bit about specifically bodywork and plant medicine. We work with somatics, we work with the body a lot in our ceremonies, but there is specific reasons that we work with the body in different ways. And one of those ways is to actually bring in professional body workers and have people have sessions of body work while they're in medicine. And the medicine that we typically use for this is the medicine of Wachuma. And there are a few reasons for this. It's not that you can't have body work done with other medicines. You definitely can, and I have with other medicines. But Wachuma works really well for the majority of people because Wachuma is a medicine that tends to not dissociate you from your body. So like mushrooms, ayahuasca, high doses of medicines like that, they can be dissociative for people. People can end up in like astral realms, kind of space traveling, a lot of those kind of situations. And even though in all of our ceremonies we're really bringing the focus into the body, we still probably wouldn't put someone on a massage table and give them, mushrooms or give them ayahuasca and then do body work on them unless we'd worked with them quite a lot. And we know that like their experiences are very embodied and that, this is something that they're ready for. But the Wachuma is just such a beautiful medicine for receiving actual physical work on your body. Working with the body, whether you're in medicine or outside of medicine, you are really connecting to the densest part of yourself, right? A lot of people that work with medicine, they tend to devalue the body, or at the very least like ignore the body. There's a lot of thought that transcending the body is like somehow more advanced, right? Like some more advanced way of being is transcending the body, and that simply isn't true. That is like 100% a fallacy. We came here to have this human experience, to experience what it's like to be in a body and to be in physicality, and have to operate within the restraints of that, and have this experience in physicality in a human body. And if you think about just the nature of our reality, the nature of our soul, then you can actually come to understand that the body and the physicality is that part of us that's most dense. And so in a lot of ways, it's the part of us that is actually, I would say like the hardest or the slowest, right? The slowest to change. And that's not a bad thing, right? It's just part of like this physical reality, is that in physicality, in the body, on the earth, in density, things change more slowly. And so in a lot of ways, it's also the most challenging part of our aspect to work with, because we are working with something that is dense, that like holds patterns and holds memories in dense form. And when we bring body work into these spaces of medicine, you're in a space where your consciousness is very expanded. And when you expand your consciousness, but you also purposely direct that expanded conscious awareness into the body and into what is happening within the vessel of your physicality. And then we also bring in external people that are experts at working with the body and connecting with other people's bodies and allowing those two bodies, right? The body of the giver and the body of the receiver to work together to begin to open lines of tissue in the body, open areas where there may be, yes, physical holding patterns, but also energies that are held. Old traumas that you may have experienced, old emotions, right? Sometimes traumas that we held in the body, yes, they can be physical traumas, certainly, but there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotions and emotional trauma that we hold in the body as well. And, I think people do not really understand how much of your reality is shaped by the core memories, the core beliefs, and the emotions of past events that we hold with it in our physical body. And so when we're enter these spaces in medicine and we bring in body workers, we're starting to open that up in a very physical way. And it doesn't matter how many of these ceremonies we hold, it always actually surprises me how much people are able to process and release and transmute in that hour and a half that they're receiving body work. And like this one-on-one session with a body worker when they're in medicine. It's like if you've ever had body work and you've ever sat with medicine, you know that both of those things can bring releases, right? But when you put the two of them together, it's not like 1 + 1 = 2. It's like really this like exponential synergy that happens and allows you to witness and process and release so much that's actually being held within the physicality. And so, that's why we work with body workers. And, I started experiencing this, when I started sitting with medicine and working with medicine, body work was not in my field. Somatics was not in my field. It should have been, because part of the reason that I started sitting with medicine was because of chronic pain that I had. But it was really like, I was doing like the physical work, the body work, and I was doing the medicine work separately, like not even thinking of them being related. And I went to a bodywork session one time right after I'd had ceremony, and I just had like all these major like unwindings and releases and like all of this stuff moving through. And it was very clear to me that it was because I just sat with medicine. And that was the synergy there that I was experiencing. I was still like very open. And so going in and having body work in that space of openness, even though I wasn't even in the medicine anymore, it just released so much more. And so then I was like, well, what if we actually did this with medicine? And so I started experimenting with that. And I was like, wow, this is like really incredible. People really need to experience this. And so that's where the Wachuma and body work was born. And again, like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing this with like medicines that are not as grounded. Definitely for some people, it works well, but this medicine specifically is like perfect and beautiful for this. So if this is something that I'm really like trying to speak about more, and just put out into the world more, because I really do believe that, along with getting people in their body, which is like our kind of primary mission, a lot of the reason that people's consciousness can't fully live in the body is because the body's so uncomfortable, because the body's holding so many things that are not yours, like beliefs, energies, entities, all of these different things that are not yours. And so it's almost like you're crowded out, right? It's like your house is full of like junk and other people's stuff. And so a lot of this is about clearing that out, right? It's about clearing out stuff that is not really yours. It's about clearing out old stuff that you don't need anymore, so that you can really start to integrate your consciousness in your body and have a lot more sovereignty and have a lot more agency over your life, and where you're directing your energy and your creations and all of these things. And it's really important. And so, I want to start talking about this more, because people need to know this. Like, people need to really understand and start working with their body in some pretty serious ways in order for us to all be living here as sovereign beings. And we cannot do that. It just doesn't happen through the mind. The mind exists outside of physicality as well. We're really here to be with and work with our physicality. And it is a necessary part of like the collective journey at this time. So if this is something that anyone's interested in learning more about, you can definitely reach out. We do have ceremonies, the Wachuma and Bodywork format ceremony we have every other month right now. We may be changing this in the future, but this is also something that we do in one-on-one capacity as well. So, if you're interested in experiencing this, definitely reach out and we can chat about it, whether it would be better to do it in a group setting or in a one-on-one setting. And, if this is something that, that you're interested in learning more about, reach out and we can chat. Okay, I think that's all I have about Wachuma and bodywork. Have a beautiful day, guys. Have a beautiful day, friends.